Good morning, Rick. How you doing, man?
Well, good morning, Keith. I see that you made some inroads into California. It looks
Yeah.
like you're in the Bay Area. Looks like you're in Marin County, looking back at San Francisco. Eh?
Yeah, man. You're really familiar with these parts, man. You spent significant time here. You know, it's one of my favorite places, man. So,
It's a
yeah,
marvelous place.
it really is, man. Speaking of like being at different places, I thought we do a show about the gift of travel, and you've done quite a bit of traveling. So why don't you kick it off for us?
Oh man, well, one of my favorite topics, and one of the big disappointments with COVID, of course, is that the world is shut down and that we don't get a chance to see more of it and interact with other people on the other side of the world who are different from us and have a different way of doing things, and also are still at their core, like us humans, trying to cope and trying to figure things out. And it's wonderful, in my judgment, to be able to spend times with people who are very different than you and try to not only learn from them, but to share what you know and to just talk about things that are funny and interesting and, serendipitous and stuff that just pops up randomly. I think one of the things that really impresses me most about people that I've met on the road, and this applies more to people that I consider like vagabonders, the travelers who travel light, travel fast, and go to a lot of different places or stay in one place for a fairly long time without a tour guide and without any structure. Those vagabonders are really the world's optimists, right? They're
Right.
the world's optimists. They're great to be around because travel is nothing more than this golden adventure wrapped in nothing but heartache and difficulty, missed flights, food that's rotten, people who are disrespectful. You go through the list, the whole human catalog of stuff that you don't like, you're going to find it traveling. So if you're not an optimist, you're going to stay home.
Yeah.
If you like to travel and you think about the best of the world and the best of what life can be, you cope with that stuff. So for me, the practice that's helped me with inner peace and grace and understanding others and being involved in service of others and ignoring circumstance and only giving importance where I want to give importance. All of those things are heightened and perfected and fine-tuned when you're traveling because you have every day to experiment, every day to apply that practice. And once you're out of that groove of your armchair at home and you're in a whole different world, that's when it's exciting. And that's when optimism kicks in. And it's just a glorious thing to experience. And I think when you're with people who are likewise optimistic and similar to you in your vagabonding style, you just crave it. And I so miss it, man. I had a couple of trips planned. I canceled them both. And sheesh, I'm the worst for it.
Yeah. Man, Rick, thank you so much for sharing, man. I love that idea about traveling. People that really love traveling, especially traveling light, they are, the the illustration, the full illustration of being an optimist. I love that. That it's going to work out. I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight, but it'll work out.
Exactly. That's right,
Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I really like that, man. And that's right in line with the practice, right? Is that, don't bother me with things that are out of my control. I'm just going to, and I don't need things outside of me to be a certain way for me to be okay inside. I'm okay inside. So whatever happens outside, I'll be okay. And I like that. And that's been your spirit too, man, from you traveling to India and at the height of one of their very busy time in the country and you having no place to stay, and
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff out, on the streets and whatnot. So just all of that, man.
Well, I'm not proud of that part. I should have planned better. You're not doing me any favors sharing that story. But no,
Yeah,
one mistake after the other. I was in China and I booked a place that I thought I understood from what the English was on the laptop. And when I got there, it was basically a veterinarian clinic, and I thought that was like a hotel, and it turned out to be nothing of the kind. It was just the way that the words were in Chinese, and I trusted the translation. The better way to do it is to talk to fellow travelers. You're on a plane, your seatmate has just come from Shanghai, and you want to find out what a cool place is to stay. Ask her, ask him. Shanghai, you wouldn't have a problem with.
Right.
it's done, you'd have a problem with. You just gotta, that's the kind of stuff you learn. But traveling makes you a better person, in my view. I think it just gives you a sense of accomplishment and freedom and anonymity, which is an important thing as well to experience, because that helps your perspective. If you can place yourself anonymously in a role that you like being a carefree, loving individual, if that isn't what you really are, that anonymity will give you the power and the strength to have experiences that you otherwise wouldn't have if you stayed in your rut at home. The other thing about travel that I think is so important is that it's not about seeing things. Anthony Bourdain, when he had his travel show, went out of his way to never look at the iconic representations of that city. He'd go to Paris, you'd never see the Eiffel Tower, or you'd never see the L'Arc de Triomphe. You never see the Champs-Élysées. He'd be in some dive in a ghetto outside of town where he found some great food and some interesting people. That's really the juice of travel for me.
No, I love it, Rick, man. And, I've been very fortunate at different times in my life to be able to afford to travel. And I know some folks may not be in that, being able to afford travel is just way too expensive if you do it a certain way. And sometimes in my life, I've been able to go right where I want to go. Other places I've had to save for a number of years to be able to go and do hit certain spots that I wanted to see. But I think what has really helped me, well, two things. One, if that's your situation right now and was traveling, the expense makes it not possible for you right now, or if you are caring for children or for loved ones, or your health doesn't allow you to get on a plane or a train or a boat to go somewhere, then there's so many things in your little town or your little city that you can go to, different parts of the environment, different parts of that city that you can go to. I had an aunt, man, a great aunt, and just so loving, and definition of kindness. And literally, man, she would just pack us up as kids when she babysit us, and she would take us to different parts of the city that we never see. And it was like a brand new world,
Yeah.
and you can have those kind of experiences right now if your resources in some ways are not plentiful. You can do that. The thing that helped me with travel, man, this is really important. When I grew up in Tennessee, I somehow, man, I don't know where I got this notion in my head, but I thought Memphis was the center of the universe.
Oh.
And New York and Paris and LA and all those places had it all wrong. Like DC, they didn't know what they were talking about. Tennessee was the center of the universe. And it took me no time to get out of Tennessee to find out that it's not the center of the universe. And with that, more importantly, I had been looking through the world through this little keyhole. And I thought for sure that I was able to understand and know everything there was to know about the world, but I was in this little keyhole. And so what travel has helped me is to be aware that at any time I'm only looking out through a keyhole. So now I'm trying to travel and get to know people and look through many keyholes, but still being mindful that I'm still only looking through a keyhole. Like I can't know this person's heart. I can't know what this culture is about or anything, because I'm so limited to my own, conditioning, my own life experiences. And travel helps you get connected with other people's life experiences so that you can really grow and be more loving, more kind, break down more barriers and limitations. And that's what the gift of traveling has been for me. And like you said before, I was not the eternal optimist because whenever the flight was delayed, I would suffer and have a straight meltdown. and now when I travel, I was like, I'm okay with what happens, man. And again, it comes back to not needing what happens outside of me to be a certain way for me to be okay inside. I'm showing up okay inside, so whatever happens, I'm okay with. You know how freeing it is to move through life like that?
Yeah. Yeah, Keith, what a lesson.
Man. Oh God, it's so beautiful to move through life like that, man. And anytime I find that I'm not okay, it's not about changing the situation. It's about me working on me not being okay, not changing the situation. And then once I'm okay, if I can improve upon the situation, then, maybe I'll take that on. But I want to be okay first inside. And that requires, the personal work. But travel gives you all those many opportunities, man. Another thing, too, is that far too often you've reminded me of not far too often I didn't take your advice of reminding me not to wait, not to travel, like do it now, because from the time we're born, man, we are on this steady journey to death, and it's just, you said being real in the last podcast. I'm being real.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm just chuckling because it's a wonderful realization.
Yeah.
And that really helps you live your life to the fullest.
God, man.
Death is over your shoulder.
From the moment that and a lot of people think, oh, well, I got to go here and have these wonderful experiences. You know what? The times between you traveling, if you are a working person, between you traveling to all the days in between until your next adventure, your next vacation, there's a lot of living that takes place in between. So don't spend your life looking forward to that. Like, live every day like it's amazing. So the day that when we are on a spring skiing day somewhere, Rick, to me, and how I enjoy that is exactly the same as I enjoy the day when I'm sitting down to write a grad paper and I got to do a 10-hour stint at writing a grad paper. I feel the exact same way. I'm not high. I'm not low. I'm just loving this moment, whatever it is. And part of that is being aware that from the time that we are born, we're on this steady march to death.
That's right.
That's where we're going. So I need every moment to have the juice. Like every moment does. I need to be aware of the juice. I need to be aware that this moment also has joy in it, so that I'm not waiting and delaying that till later. And you've really helped me to live that way, to show up that way, man. But a lot of people, and I was guilty of this too, I did not live that way, man. Right now, I think about all the people that are upset and disappointed, and they have a lot of fatigue over, COVID or whatever else. And from day one, I never experienced that. I still haven't experienced it, and that's because of the practice. But what if this is our new normal, and you're waiting until we get to the other side of that? How many of those days in almost 2 years have you lost on this steady march to zero? I mean, you've been traveling, you just haven't been conscious of the travel, because every day is filled with wishing it were different. But this day is what it is, man. And so wherever I travel to, man, whether I'm traveling abroad or I'm traveling to work, I'm going to make the most of it, man. And that's a gift of travel, man. When your eyes are wide open, for me, the practice is a wonderful tool for me to stay open.
Well, travel, you're right, Keith. Travel is an absolute, not only a metaphor, but an actual training exercise in the practice.
Yes.
Because you have to develop skills that allow you to disregard your own opinion about how bad things are. You force yourself to get out of that, because it doesn't do you any good. It's like having a flat tire and then throwing all your tools that would do the repair of the tire off into the desert because you're so angry you got a flat tire, right, but the tire is still flat, right? Well, when you do that a few times traveling, you realize that's not going to cut it, and you stop doing it immediately. It's an accelerated course on dealing with what is, and not about what your opinion about what is. Let me give the viewers one thing I wanted to share with Paul Theroux is my favorite travel writer, probably for most folks watching who read travel books. It's theirs as well. He's very, very well accomplished. He's been writing for 50 years, and he teaches in the Boston area and also lives in Hawaii, and he's traveled literally everywhere. And train travel is one of his favorite things. If you're interested in travel at all, and travel in terms of either going, like Keith says, to little places and towns that you haven't experienced right in your backyard, to around the world, a great book for you to start with is a book called The Tao of Travel. The Tao of Travel. And this is Paul Theroux's compilation of observations of travel and quotes from other people who have traveled and enjoyed traveling and use travel as a way of coming to grips with their own mortality. way beyond seeing the sights. The seeing the sights is nothing. It's nothing to do with travel. It's about this inner development that you have being loose in the world with no safety net. And that's what I'm advocating. Do that for a while.
I love it, Rick, man. Thank you so much, man. I love it. I will be getting that book.
Okay, cool. Well, I can borrow mine.
Okay, even better.
All right, buddy.
All right.
I love you.
Thank you.
Adios, buddy.
Adios.